InGen's origins, Rexy's legacy, and an oddly high number of reconciling couples. We're digging deep to unearth the finer points of the entire Jurassic Park franchise.
How'd you do this? I'll show you.
65 million years ago, the late Cretaceous period met the Paleogene period. This marked the sudden mass extinction of 3/4 of the animals and plants on Earth, including all dinosaurs. In a prologue for Jurassic World Dominion that was cut from the final version, viewers are introduced to a host of dinosaurs like the Dreadnoughtus, the Moros Intrepidus, both of which have been previously unseen in the franchise. At the end of the prologue, the last dinosaur to be introduced is a Giganotosaurus, the largest apex predator of all time, and it quickly asserts its dominance over Tyrannosaurus Rex. This scene isn't only significant because a genetically engineered version of the Giganotosaurus returns to reclaim that title later in the film, though. It also links back to the scene in the first Jurassic Park film, when Alan, Ellie, and Ian watch a short film about a mosquito getting encased in amber and fossilized after drinking the blood of a dinosaur.
Bingo. Dino DNA.
The prologue heavily suggests that it was this mosquito, or rather one like it, that was later used by John Hammond and Sir Benjamin Lockwood's company InGen to extract dinosaur DNA and then create the T-Rex in the 1980s. By 1969, John Hammond had made his vested interest in animals very clear, having opened his first animal preserve, Animal Kingdom, that year in Nairobi, Kenya. He also hires future Jurassic Park employee Robert Muldoon to work there as the park warden. But taking care of and showcasing animals already on the planet clearly isn't enough for Hammond, and he soon sets out to bring dinosaurs back into the modern world. Having dreamed up the idea of using the DNA of creatures encased in amber, like the mosquito, to clone extinct animals, he starts working with a small research team, calling his company the Hammond Foundation. In 1975, Hammond had secured enough investors and a partnership with British entrepreneur Sir Benjamin Lockwood. Together, they found International Genetic Technologies, a bioengineering company more commonly referred to as InGen. Working out of a laboratory in Lockwood's basement, the pair teams up with scientists and conducts research on bringing extinct animals back to life. Here, they make plans for a dinosaur theme park, which they named Jurassic Park. In 1982, InGen signs a 99-year-long lease for Isla Sorna and the Muertes archipelago from the Costa Rican government, where they plan to conduct research and construction begins on Jurassic Park San Diego. In 1984, almost a decade after founding InGen, John Hammond and Sir Benjamin Lockwood have their first major breakthrough. Still working out of Lockwood's estate, he, Hammond, and their team of scientists begin a fertilization test on an artificial ovum, which is successful. A year later, they move their headquarters to Palo Alto and successfully clone the prehistoric DNA from the amber. But other changes are afoot at InGen, as Hammond suspends construction on Jurassic Park San Diego indefinitely. Instead, he looks to move the park to Isla Nublar in Costa Rica. InGen leases the island from the Costa Rican government, adding it to the 99-year lease they'd already agreed to. Now making use of the islands they leased, InGen starts working on Isla Sorna, which they call Site B, but they haven't been able to clone a dinosaur yet, despite having success with the amber. In 1986, Hammond and Lockwood add Dr. Henry Wu to their team, and he suggests they splice the DNA of dinosaurs with that of modern animals like frogs. Shortly afterward, InGen successfully clones their first dinosaur, a Triceratops. Wu also comes up with the lysine contingency, a plan that would theoretically protect the humans if the dinosaurs ever escaped. By adding a faulty gene to the dinosaurs, they become dependent on supplemental lysine that InGen gave them. Removing dinosaurs from captivity then would deprive them of the enriched food, send the dinosaurs into a coma, and ultimately kill them. Now seeing significant progress with its ability to genetically engineer and replicate dinosaurs, InGen goes ahead with plans for a new Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar, which they refer to as Site A. Construction begins on the island in 1988 and is finished in 1993. During this period, InGen successfully hatches more dinosaurs, including the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Rexy, who is seen throughout the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies. Rexy is born on Site B, but has moved over to a paddock on Isla Nublar in 1989 when she's 1 year old. InGen has other innovative success thanks to Dr. Henry Wu, who realizes that the DNA of the yellow poison dart frog they've been using is incompatible with some dinosaur genomes, like velociraptors. He suggests InGen uses the reed frog. Although any geneticist should suspect that since the reed frog can change sex, this ability could be passed down to the dinosaurs. It's ignored and is later the reason the dinosaurs have been able to reproduce, a reveal seen in Jurassic Park and expanded upon in the Lost World Jurassic Park. Wu also researches the hybridization of dinosaurs during this period, which of course will eventually lead to the Indominus Rex. However, InGen also suffers a major blow when Sir Benjamin Lockwood leaves the company after he and John Hammond fall out. Although the cause for this is not known in Jurassic Park, it's retconned into the story in Jurassic World Dominion. In this latest installment of the franchise, we learn that Hammond was disgusted by Lockwood's interest in using their research for human cloning after his daughter Charlotte, who worked on Isla Sorna, revealed she wished to have a baby this way.
Just like Blue, Charlotte was able to have a child all by herself. She created you with her own DNA.
Despite Sir Benjamin Lockwood's departure from InGen, John Hammond forges ahead with his plan to open Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar. However, the company's board of directors has concerns about the park's safety after gatekeeper Joffrey Brown is killed by a velociraptor while transferring them to a higher security holding pen, and his family sues InGen. Nevertheless, Hammond believes Jurassic Park is the perfect place to bring his grandchildren, Lex and Tim, to get their minds off their parents' divorce. Lawyer Donald Gennaro also heads to Isla Nublar to assess the weaknesses of the park and whether or not operations should be shut down before the park even opens. He brings along Dr. Ian Malcolm for another expert opinion.
Our scientists have done things which nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
In response, Hammond invites Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler along, hoping they will endorse the park. Elsewhere, Lewis Dodgson meets with Jurassic Park computer programmer Dennis Nedry and convinces him to steal dinosaur embryos for rival company Biosyn in exchange for $1.5 million.
Bottom screw's open. It's cool to compartmentalize inside.
On June 11th, everyone arrives at the park, and the events of the first Jurassic Park film take place over the next 48 hours. John Hammond takes Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, Ian Malcolm, and Donald Gennaro on a tour of Jurassic Park where they can see Brachiosaurus and Parasaurolophus dinosaurs. The group is later joined by Lex and Tim, but they see very few other dinosaurs that afternoon. An unexpected tropical storm heading toward Isla Nublar then forces all non-essential personnel to be evacuated, leaving only Nedry, Hammond, Robert Muldoon, and Ray Arnold to manage the park. Nedry soon sneaks off to steal the embryos and shuts down all power and security protocols on the island, except for the Velociraptor holding pen. This allows Rexy to escape her paddock and attack Lex, Tim, Ian, and Alan, and Donald suffers one of the most memorable deaths in cinema history. The same goes for Nedry, who doesn't quite make it off the island with all of his stolen embryos thanks to a run-in with a spunky Dilophosaurus. In a bid to reverse Nedry's actions and get the power back on, Ray does a full system reset, but this deactivates the raptor's paddock. It's not long before Ray and Robert are both devoured by the raptors.
Clever girl.
This leaves Alan, Ellie, Ian, Hammond, Lex, and Tim to get the power back on and call for help. They eventually do this, but they encounter the raptors several more times before being saved by Rexy. By the end of the film, even John concurs Jurassic Park can't be saved, and the survivors escape in a helicopter. The Lost World Jurassic Park begins by filling in the gaps of the past 4 years since InGen abandoned Isla Nublar. During this period, the bioengineering company is hit with more lawsuits for the wrongful deaths of Donald Gennaro, Robert Muldoon, and Ray Arnold, which they covered up, and are nearly bankrupt because of it. Because of this, John Hammond is fired by the board, and his nephew, Peter Ludlow, replaces him as CEO. He makes plans to open Jurassic Park San Diego, and wants to move over dinosaurs from Site B. There are plenty because, as Dr. Henry Wu discovered, the lysine contingency had proven ineffective, and the remaining dinosaurs began breeding. Dr. Ian Malcolm breaks his non-disclosure agreement with InGen to raise awareness over the events of Isla Nublar, but is discredited by Ludlow. Despite this, he initially refuses Hammond's request for him to go to Site B with a small group of experts and document the dinosaurs there and stop InGen from profiting off them. However, he changes his mind when his girlfriend, Dr. Sarah Harding, is part of the group and already on the island. He follows her there to rescue her, but soon discovers his teenage daughter Kelly has stowed away on the rescue mission too. Hammond's team, the Gatherers, race against InGen's hunters but are ultimately forced to work together after 3 dinosaurs and a pair of Rexes destroy their vehicles and communication equipment. After several encounters with the buck Rex, his female counterparts, and some velociraptors, the Gatherers escape the island. But Ludlow's men capture the buck and take him to San Diego. Ian and Sarah use a young T-Rex Jr. to lure him back onto the cargo ship. The ship sails back to Isla Sorna, but not before Jr. eats Ludlow. Following the events of Isla Sorna and in San Diego, John Hammond petitions a government to have Isla Sorna left as a nature reserve for the dinosaurs. The U.S. House Committee of Science also passes the Gene Guard Act, which gives bioengineered dinosaurs the same status and rights as endangered species. As a result, access to the islands is restricted, and InGen is forbidden from cloning any other prehistoric flora or fauna. This seems to be the end of InGen's Jurassic adventure, but when Hammond dies shortly after the events of Lost World, Masrani Global swoops in and acquires the bioengineering firm. Having taken over from his father as the CEO of Masrani Global in 1992, Simon Masrani has kept a watchful eye over Hammond's company for years. After taking over InGen in 1998, Masrani sets out to fulfill Hammond's failed dream of opening Jurassic Park, this time renamed Jurassic World. Breaking the Gene Guard Act, he starts experimenting mere months after Hammond's death. Shortly after, InGen begins secret experiments on Site B with the goal of illegally breeding new species, including the super predator Spinosaurus. Plans for a new park are underway. And in 1999, the UN grants Masrani global legal but limited access to Isla Sorna. Simon brings Dr. Henry Wu into his new Jurassic World project in 2000, who eventually becomes the lead genetic biologist at InGen. Jurassic Park 3 begins by revealing what Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler have been doing in the 8 years since they were on Isla Nublar. Notably, Ellie has retired from paleobotany. Although the two remain close, Ellie is now married to Mark Degler, who works at the State Department, and they have 2 young children together. Meanwhile, Alan remains active in the field of paleontology. In the beginning of the film, we see him and his protege, Billy Brennan, testing the prototype of a machine that's able to craft an accurate replica of a velociraptor voice box.
This is brilliant, Billy.
It's here at this work site that wealthy, thrill-seeking couple Paul and Amanda Kirby approach Alan and offer to fund further research if he gives them and 3 mercenaries an aerial tour of Isla Nublar. Alan reluctantly agrees and brings Billy along with him. But the Kirbys' ulterior motive is soon revealed, as the couple actually plans to rescue their son, Eric, who, along with Amanda's boyfriend, Ben Hildebrand, has gone missing on Isla Sorna after an illegal parasailing tour over the island. On the island, Alan finds Eric, now the sole survivor, and reunites him with his parents. Their group faces attacks from velociraptors, pteranodons, and the Spinosaurus, and all 3 of the mercenaries are killed one by one. Alan gets out a distress call to Ellie and Mark, though, who send a rescue team, while Alan fakes a distress call with his raptor voice box to help them escape. Billy, believed to be dead, is later rescued by the US Marines. As a result of Alan and the Kirbys' actions on Isla Sorna, a group of pteranodons escape and are spotted over British Columbia. However, Simon Masrani hires security contractor Vic Hoskins to deal with them. After doing this, he is subsequently hired as InGen's head of security. These events hadn't put Masrani off opening his new park, Jurassic World. And in 2002, a year after Alan's harrowing visit to Isla Sorna, Masrani announces his plans to the world. He also has Rexy and the other rogue dinosaurs recaptured on Isla Nublar. They are shipped to Site B until their enclosures in the new park are finished. In 2003, InGen bribes members of the US House Committee of Science, who then agree to remove the restrictions on InGen because of the Gene Guard Act, which allows them to begin cloning and genetically engineering new species of dinosaurs for Jurassic World. The following year, Simon Masrani hires Claire Deering as an intern on the Jurassic World project. Masrani Global Corporation soon begins moving the dinosaurs back from Site B to the new park on Site A. At the time, Masrani's company is credited with saving the creatures from ecological disaster. It's later revealed in 2015 that the strain on the Isla Sorna ecosystem had actually been caused by InGen's secret experiments on Isla Sorna in 1998, when Masrani acquired the company. In 2005, Simon Masrani's company opens its new dinosaur park, Jurassic World, to the public. Elsewhere, just a few short years later, Sir Benjamin Lockwood's daughter Charlotte has succeeded in cloning herself. Her daughter Maisie is born. While Charlotte suffers from a rare genetic disease that leads to her death in 2009, Claire continues rising through the ranks of InGen. She eventually becomes a senior assets manager at Jurassic World.
We've learned more from genetics in the past decade than a century of digging up bones.
Work on the Indominus Rex begins in 2012 after demands from Jurassic World's board of investors caused Claire and Masrani to ask Dr. Henry Wu to create a hybrid theropod. Developments in dinosaur behavior at Jurassic World continue, with Owen Grady selected to head up a special project as its head velociraptor trainer.
Delta, I see you. Back up.
During this time, Masrani authorizes the construction of a new facility in Siberia in 2012, which opens in 2014. Its focus is to extract the DNA of animals from the Ice Age. On Isla Nublar in 2012, a new pack of velociraptors is engineered by Wu's team, and the raptors Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo are born. In 2013, Owen recognizes some nuances in the dynamic of their pack and requests that his friend Barry Samben join his team. By 2015, Jurassic World is operated for 10 years without incident. In 2015, Simon Masrani publicly announced that Jurassic World will soon be unveiling a new genetically engineered dinosaur, the Indominus Rex.
It tried to break the glass.
I like a spirit.
As a result, ticket sales rise astronomically. Meanwhile, Claire Dearing's nephews, Zach and Gray Mitchell, come to visit her on Isla Nublar, while their parents go through divorce proceedings. Their arrival coincides with Jurassic World's first big disaster. The Indominus Rex, which ate its twin when it was younger, is much smarter than InGen scientists expected, and displays traits that even Dr. Henry Wu, its creator, is surprised by. Its camouflage abilities, along with its significant intelligence, allow it to escape. In its ensuing rampage, it nearly kills Owen, and its carnage throughout the park causes mass chaos, destruction, and further dinosaur escapes. Claire and Owen team up to search for Zach and Gray, who briefly encounter the Indominus on their gyrosphere ride. Meanwhile, the pteranodons escape their enclosure when Masrani's helicopter sends the Indominus Rex into the paddock. He dies when pteranodons and dimorphodons fly into the helicopter and it crashes. Then, realizing that extreme measures need to be taken, Owen uses Blue's pack to hunt the Indominus.
Your boyfriend's a badass.
To his and the others' dismay, they initially side with her, sensing her velociraptor DNA. However, Owen eventually gets through to Blue, and she helps them fight the Indominus. With the help of Rexy and a surprise assist from the Mosasaurus, the group defeats the Indominus. Despite a lot of deaths, all's well that ends well. Zach and Gray's parents return to get them together, seemingly no longer getting divorced, while Claire and Owen walk off into the sunset. Season 1 of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous takes place simultaneously to the events of Jurassic World, beginning just before Jack and Gray arrive on Isla Nublar. A group of 6 kids, Darius, Ben, Yaz, Brooklyn, Kenji, and Sammy, arrive on the island to attend adventure camp. However, they discover problems within the park and end up having several close encounters with dinosaurs, like the Carnotaurus. However, before their many near-death experiences, Claire Dearing actually planned for her nephews to attend this camp, but their counselor, Rexy, suggested it would be too much to take on. As Season 1 progresses, the campers are attacked by the Indominus Rex and the Mosasaurus, which makes them miss to ferry off Isla Nublar, leaving them stranded on the island. Season 2 picks up after the events of Jurassic World, with the island now all but abandoned. While trying to avoid getting killed by dinosaurs, the kids face off against new characters Mitch and Tiff, who have come to the island claiming to be eco-tourists, but instead are hunters looking to bag some dinosaur trophies. Of course, they both get what's coming to them, with Rexy taking a bite out of Mitch and Tiff being killed by the baryonyx duo Chaos and Limbo. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Season 3 lines up with the opening scene of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is set 6 months after the events of Jurassic World. Dr. Henry Wu has just started working for Sir Benjamin Lockwood's estate manager, Eli Mills, and they've sent a group of mercenaries to recover the bones of Indominus Rex. The animated series recreates pieces of this opening scene, before depicting what else was going on around the island. It notably reveals that Wu engineered 2 types of hybrid dinosaurs. He created the Scorpius Rex before the Indominus, but Simon Masrani ordered Wu to have her killed because she was too terrifying for the park. However, he didn't do this, instead placing the dinosaur into a cryo-freeze chamber and planning to use her to create his next hybrid. She is accidentally freed at the end of Season 2, and after asexually procreating between the 2nd and 3rd seasons, She and her child attack the campers several times. They face off against the campers for the last time in the old Jurassic Park Visitors Center in the episode Escape from Isla Nublar, where the dinosaurs are killed when the roof caves in. Afterward, in Season 4, the campers finally escape from Isla Nublar. Back on the mainland, Wu receives the Indominus Rex DNA the mercenaries recovered from Isla Nublar, and engineers a new dinosaur called the Indoraptor. The following year, Claire Dearing founds the Dinosaur Protection Group after Isla Nublar's volcano Mount Saibo becomes active and threatens to kill all the dinosaurs. In June 2018, Claire Dearing is summoned to Sir Benjamin Lockwood's estate, where he introduces himself as an old associate of John Hammond's. He offers to fund her rescue mission to Isla Nublar so that she can save the dinosaurs from extinction as Mount Saibo is now erupting. However, he requests that her now ex-boyfriend Owen Grady also join the mission, as he's the only one who can save Blue.
Back for more, huh?
Can I buy you a beer?
Did you bring him, or did we gotta go somewhere?
Claire and Owen return to the island along with paleo-veterinarian Zia Rodriguez and IT expert Franklin Webb. To their surprise, they are met by mercenary and trophy hunter Ken Wheatley, who double-crosses them and captures Blue. After a few close encounters with dinosaurs and a near drowning, Claire, Owen, Zia, and Franklin escape the island and stow away on board one of Wheatley's ships, where they are taken back to the Lockwood estate. Benjamin has just died at the hands of Ellie Mills, who has subsequently taken control, locking Lockwood's granddaughter Maisie in her room and going ahead with his plans to bankroll further genetic research. Claire and Owen discover that Dr. Wu has created a new hybrid called the Indoraptor. Furthermore, Mills is auctioning off dinosaurs to the highest bidder. But in typical Jurassic fashion, this deadly dinosaur doesn't remain in its cage for long and kills several of the guests before attacking Maisie. With a little help from Blue, Claire, Owen, and Maisie eventually trick the Indoraptor so it falls through the glass roof and impales itself. Mills is killed in the chaos at the mansion, but when the group is faced with gas potentially killing all the dinosaurs within the mansion, Maisie makes the choice to let them all go free.
I had to. They're alive. Like me.
1 year after Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, dinosaurs have spread across North America and humans begin to encounter them more and more. And it's not long before they spread across the entire world. This is shown in the short film Battle at Big Rock, which gives viewers an insight into what this new world looks like. Centered around one family of campers at Big Rock National Park, it begins when a mother and baby Nasutoceratops wander around their campfire. The human family joins the Nasutoceratops mother and her mate in the fight against the Allosaurus, and it eventually leaves when the young daughter shoots it with a crossbow. The film depicts just one of the many encounters humans now have with dinosaurs and is a precursor to what comes in Jurassic World Dominion. But before the epic finale can take place, the Jurassic Park timeline jumps over to the campers on Manticore Island. Season 5 of Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous leads directly into the third Jurassic World film, re-establishing Louis Dodgson's character. Voiced by Adam Harrington in the animated series and played by Campbell Scott in Dominion, the CEO of Biosyn is the main antagonist for the remainder of the franchise. Although the campers foil his attempt to use mind control chips on all the dinosaurs on the island, he gets away with the technology, which will soon come into play. Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant reunite in Jurassic World Dominion as Louis Dodgson invites them to tour his Biosyn facility, where Ian Malcolm now works. With help from Ian and Ramsey Cole, they quickly discover that Dodgson and Henry Wu have been genetically engineering a swarm of prehistoric giant locusts to destroy all crops except the ones grown with Biosyn seeds. However, Wu needs Maisie Lockwood's DNA to fix a genetic defect in the locusts. So Dodgson has her and Blue's child, Beta, kidnapped from the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Claire! They found her!
What? Who are they?
Poachers! I've seen them around.
Claire and Owen mount a rescue mission to save them, tracking them to Malta, where they meet cargo pilot Kayla Watts, who agrees to fly them to the Biosyn facility in the Dolomites. Inside the facility, Ellie, Alan, Ian, and Ramsey help Maisie escape and steal a locust sample in the process. Maisie reunites with her parents and introduces them to the Jurassic Park legends.
Dr. Grant? You are? I'm Owen Grady. Big fan. I read your book. Well, book on tape.
To destroy evidence of his attempted crimes, Dodgson sets fire to the locusts, but the flames engulf the entire facility. He is killed by 3 Dilophosaurus before he can escape. However, he leaves a mind-controlled Giganotosaurus as a parting gift. Thankfully, Rexy is there to save the day alongside a Therizinosaurus, and the group then rescues Wu, who plans to stop the locusts. Claire and Owen take Maisie home and reunite Blue with Beta. Meanwhile, Ellie and Alan get back together and plan to go public about Biosyn. The Biosyn Valley is declared a dinosaur sanctuary by the United Nations, leaving the world with the formidable task of coexisting with these prehistoric animals.